this session will be available beyond. We'll also share out the slides on our website, and I'll give you a link to where you'll be able to come back to access the recording and the slides at a later time. So with that, I think I'm going to turn things over to you, Naomi, to get things started. So thank you all.
Okay, well,
Looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much, Melissa, and what a joy and honor to be here tonight on behalf of CS for All Teachers. I am a very proud ambassador for the community, and I can't wait to share that particular virtual community with you throughout our learning today. But welcome, welcome everyone. And this webinar is co-hosted tonight by myself, Naomi Harm, and also Nicole Kang. And Nicole's joining us from France, and we'll do brief intros in just a minute. Those of you that haven't heard about CS All for Teachers, it's an online, very robust, and very creative community. And the link is here for you to tap into, where you can connect and communicate and be inspired by so many amazing educators from all over the world. They have just-in-time resources for computer science, coding, robotics, computational thinking, the APCS courses, you name it, we have it. And you know what? The price tag is great too, because it is free. And it's all about being together and being better at what we do, of sharing best practices amongst incredible and inspiring educators. My name is Naomi Harm, and again, like I said, I'm a CS All for Teachers ambassador, and I'm a STEM innovation specialist. And my partner in crime tonight is Nicole Kang. She is the co-founder of Elementari, and she is joining us from France. And Nicole is original from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm joining you from Cave Creek, Arizona tonight. We are excited to share with you these amazing computer science and literacy webinar outcomes, and hoping that even just one idea that you can take away and try with your online students tomorrow in your remote learning environment, as we are dealing with our national and global crisis. I think some of these ideas are really going to inspire your parents, your teachers you work with, and even your students. But we've got lots of tools and resources. We've got lots of different ways that you can create dynamic digital stories with computer science, with actually coding, but also applied robotics and coding opportunities for your students to tell their story and have a voice in their learning. But what we're so excited to share about how literacy is truly connected to help a student to further comprehend and influence how they understand computer science concepts, and how they can further be educated about the importance of computer science knowledge and how it applies to everything that we do of creating and making in our world. So our first question to all of you, please use that left side panel, which is considered our back channel chat, and we'd like to know, how have you combined literacy and coding experiences in your classroom with students, or they could also be adult learners too. Please share with us your incredible ideas, your experiences. Maybe it's even a great website or a resource, but tell us more of what you do and the experiences you have, because that will help us meet your individual learning needs tonight. Excellent, the responses are coming in. This is wonderful. Please still introduce yourself if you had not had an opportunity. We've got game designers in here tonight. We've got teachers that teach computer science. We have individuals that are coming in from all over the world. We have a great teacher friend in here from Egypt already. We've got New York City. We've got a lot of West Coast teachers from the U.S. Some of you are interested about the reading and the creation of gaming design and how it impacts games on society. Oh, that's extremely relevant, isn't it? Songwriting, oh, this is incredible. This is wonderful. Yeah, the reading and social learning impacts, that's very important. Thanks for sharing that as well, Renee. We appreciate that. Yeah, listing of the code.org, absolutely. Code.org is a brilliant supportive website for unplugged activity, as well as just-in-time snackable chunks of coding to make those broader learning connections. Interesting. Thank you, Doug, for sharing that. So you're looking for probably more ideas of how to develop and extend literacy, how to have children have a voice and to tell their story, and then how it relates to actually computer science and programming. This is wonderful. Any other ideas, anyone that you have for combined literacy and coding experiences in your classroom with students? Wonderful. Diane, thank you so much for sharing your story about teaching with B-bots in the classroom in Spain. We greatly appreciate that effort as well. That's a great literacy connection because you can do so much with learning from the alphabet to numerical representation to sequencing. Wonderful. Oh, Susie, absolutely. You know that retelling stories with robotics. Absolutely. Absolutely. Informational writing in robotics? Yes. Stephanie, great to see the Lego connection here. Absolutely. I love it when Lego has the story sets. And we'll also be introducing a little bit more about Dash and Dot from Wonder Workshop. Did you know that you can attach Legos to the side of Dash's head, that they have the attributes that attach onto the side that you can build and create and make, and also do some great coding and storytelling with that? Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. Reflection questions. Well, keep those comments coming in. Do you know, I think we needed a couple hours for this webinar, and we only get an hour with you tonight, so I need to move along. But wow, look at everything that you're sharing. Please keep those ideas coming to expand the learning connections from all of you. Thank you. Well, we know that together is better is kind of our motto, right? And peanut butter and jelly is a great way, the ultimate dynamic duo, to connect the learning when it comes to computer science and literacy. Literacy is a great way to help students with not only reading and writing, but providing children an opportunity to share their collective intelligence of their voice and their storytelling of how it relates to their world. So the ultimate peanut butter and jelly connection here is computer science is truly the differentiator, because it allows children to create a literacy story and to make the connections of the importance of why things need to be seen in a pattern and a sequence, and how do we make that connection with looping? How do I apply conditionals? Or how do I apply an event to make something happen of an if-then statement? So we think it's just like an amazing peanut butter and jelly sandwich of how these two truly complement each other. Now, just a few little bits of information before I turn it over to Nicole, where she is going to do an amazing job introducing Elementari of how it all fits into digital storytelling. But do you know that digital storytelling fits so nicely with computer science that it really encourages and empowers our artistic students to obtain new creativity, even beyond their original work? I've actually worked with children that have really applied the arts focus when it comes to digital storytelling, and they want to use computer science to that story, even like using from Scratch and other applications from Makey to actually add more voice. It's really made the learning connections to help with English fluency when English is not the first language of children that you may be working with, or even adult learners. It helps them to be more communicative. It inspires them to dig deeper and to persevere and to really articulate their thoughts. Some other areas that we've really seen how the digital story fits into the computer science scope of this is that it empowers our students that feel now comfortable with even beyond block-based programming, that maybe they want to get and dabble into a little bit of JavaScript programming or other types of programming, that these students are now so knowledgeable that they can be co-teachers in your classroom with their peers. It really does boost the students' confidence because they feel proud and honored that they now have this now new working knowledge that they can coach and mentor a peer. It really creates a very safe and conducive learning environment, but it also allows these students to help them further make educational learning connections in other classes and other subjects, and it's more of a thematic unit approach that they see how it impacts their world around them. And it really is a powerful exchange of information. And it really helps kids be inspired to think about futuristic career opportunities and job potential. Now, I want to introduce Nicole as a brief intro here, and then Nicole's going to tell you a little bit more about her story. But our learning connection, Nicole and I met each other over Twitter, and it was an introduction from a friend of a friend, and then we got our conversation starting, and then I found out she's from Phoenix, and now I live in Cave Creek, which is only 40 minutes from Phoenix, Arizona, and we just found a natural fit together as we started talking that we had a lot of similarities. We were very passionate about computer science and how it does make a true difference in all of K-12 students with every ability, but also how it's really making a difference with our children with differing abilities, our students with art, and also a lot of our children that actually can be challenged, where these students all of a sudden now have this amazing skill set where they can be the coaches and basically the teachers in your classroom. So Nicole, I'm going to turn it over to you so that you can share a little bit about you, and let's jump into elementary about these digital storytelling methods.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Naomi. So my name is Nicole Kang. I'm the co-founder of Elementari. And a bit about myself is, like Naomi said, I was originally from Arizona, so it's really hot there. And then I saw snow for the first time when I moved to Boston to attend MIT for my undergraduate. So while I was there at MIT, I was kind of the black sheep because I didn't really do engineering. I was actually an educator. I ran a lot of STEM summer and winter camps in South Korea, and I also was a researcher specifically on scientific inquiry and game-based design. So I really like games. I'm a reader. I have a cat. I also have a story about myself on Elementari that I shared with some sixth graders in some coding class. So you can read that to see a little bit more about my background. But I really want to jump into Elementari to make sure that we can cover everything that we need to cover from K to 12 and the different applications. So you can see that I created a little avatar. This is created on Elementari, and you can actually animate it. Let's see if we can animate it really quick for you to see. Does the video play? So on Elementari, we have a couple animations, a couple animatable characters.
Yeah,
you
this
can
was working earlier.
animate
So
them
see.
to make them talk, or you can make them fly, things like that. The first tutorial is actually on how to animate a dragon. And
here we go.
There you go.
Great. I think we're having some difficulties. Yes? No problem. Yeah, we just jump ahead. Yeah, see if the demo video will work. Okay, great. So we're just going to jump right into the demo video. So Elementari is an online platform that you can write and code interactive stories. You can get started for free. You usually start writing just like a PowerPoint or Google Slides by adding images. It's drag and drop. So it's very familiar for people who are already doing slides, and also a great introduction for young kids to practice their keyboarding and typing skills as well. So we have about 13,000 professional illustrations and sounds that you can use to create your story. So this is about creating your layout. Now we're going to go straight into the code, which is the event graph. We have a visual coding environment where you drag blocks together to, for example, make a dragon fly, to play a voiceover. And you can make things animate, make things fade in, have conditionals. And once you're done, you publish it, and it becomes live to the world. And so this is a public shareable URL that you can therefore share with parents, with admin, with friends, and you can also take your story and embed it onto your own blog or website. So that gives you a really brief picture and overview of what Elementari is, and then I'm going to go into a little more depth about how you can actually use it in your classroom. So great. So the other thing is Elementari is able to be used on all devices. You can create stories on Chromebook, tablet, iPad, desktop, and you can read stories on mobile and all of the above. So it's really about being an open access to storytelling. So let's actually code together. We saw that the dragon was flying a bit, and we have 3 blocks. We have an on-page start block, an animate block, and an object block, which is the dragon. So when you create an account and you go into the authoring tool, you're actually going to be greeted with a step-by-step tutorial that will actually guide you through how to animate this dragon. But we're going to skip ahead and see if you can kind of think about how you would code these blocks together. So how would you connect these 3 blocks together to make them work? So let's take a look at the video. So this is what we want to happen. We want to make the dragon fly, just like this. So on page start, animate the dragon. Great. So if we can go back. Okay, so we have triangles and we have some circles, and they're different colors. And let's see the solution video if that is possible. Great, so you see that the triangle connects with the triangle, and then the circle connects with the circle. And only by connecting these blocks together will it actually play the code. Perfect, thank you so much. Okay, so there is a link that goes through a walkthrough, including the integrated tutorial that you can later view. We'll have all of these links on a separate document so that you can refer back to them later. So let's move on to the next slide. So visual coding is very real in the real world. And the blocks, you get them from the authoring tool. So there's a sidebar where you can actually drag the blocks over. I don't really go over that too much here because we just don't really have too much time to showcase everything. But there is the tutorial that you can look at that goes through basically from when you sign up to when you get the dragon to start flying. So one misconception is that visual coding is for babies and that real coding is pumping out JavaScript or Python and you put it in a text editor and that's real coding. Now this is completely false. Visual coding is very relevant and very alive in the real world. And the important thing about learning computer science and computational thinking is not about what language you're using, but the analytical skills to develop complex algorithms or instructions to create interactive experiences. So it's not about printing hello world in 5 different computer programming languages. So we're going to take a look at the first example, which is called Unreal Engine. Now, Unreal Engine, you could take a look at their event graph, and it looks very similar to ours. It is probably the most exciting game engine right now. You may not have heard of this game engine, but you have definitely heard of the games it has developed. Anybody know? Heard of it before? So have you heard of Fortnite, maybe? Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Just this past year, there have been over 100 Unreal Engine games at Gamescom 2019. So it's been used by everyone from indie developers all the way to professional developers. So the second software is Blender. We often think of coding as related to robots or geeky computer games. And while this is true, coding can be so much more. Blender is a 3D animation software used by professionals, and it has been used to create the credit sequence of Wonder Woman and the graphics of the Emmys in 2018. And the last one is probably the least exciting, but the most used, and that's flowcharts. So flowcharts are used when you create any standard operating procedure, from customer service to logistics, how to make a good lesson plan, and more. We use flowcharts when we want to standardize and optimize processes. It's literally used in every industry, and it's also the starting block when you actually write code, before you actually write the code. So many programmers, including
Nicole,
myself,
this is
will
Naomi.
first use
I'm
a
just going
flow
to
chart
interject
to write out the
two brief
logic and the
questions.
flows first.
Rita's
We call
asking
this pseudocode.
target grade level,
And
we know
then
this
once
product
we
actually
have
can work
determined
K
our
through
logic,
12,
we can
but
finally
is there
write it in
a
whatever
range
programming
that you
language
see
we're
most
using,
used
whether
currently?
that's JavaScript, Python, and other. Yes. Currently, we've seen
Okay,
most
and do you
used
have a
at
built-in text?
second grade
Oh,
to
sorry.
fifth grade level for English use. And then we see it in high school for some English classes as well as foreign language classes. Yes, a
Okay,
recorded
thanks, Nicole.
available. Text to speech within the authoring tool? No, we do not have text to speech within the authoring tool. We do have just the recorded voiceover. So yeah, that's what we have right now. Okay, no problem. Okay, I'm going to jump right into the lesson plans. So I mentioned that we see a lot of second graders to probably fifth graders. So we're going to start with these lesson plans first. If we can play the video, then that'll be great to see how we can use the remix feature to jumpstart the writing process and coding process. So here we have an example of just a template story. You have different pages with just add your body text, type your text here, fillers. So the idea is that students can take this template and they can remix it. That means it copies all of the slides, and if there's any code, all of the code. So if we could go back. What usually happens is students will focus on learning how to sequence a story. So what does it make sense? Is there a beginning? Is there a middle? Is there an end? What do they have to say in order for the story to flow well? These are all things that are very important for these grade levels. And at the same time, they're learning about sequences in coding. So for example, let's take a look at the bottom image. You have 3 blocks: on page start, play record sound, and another play record sound. So this is an example of functions in sequence. So on page start, I want to play the recorded sound, recording 1, and then I want to play the recorded sound, recording number 2. So the second sound, it doesn't play until after the first sound plays. And once again, this is a sequence. So it's a set of instructions, one after the other. Now, let's take a look at functions in parallel or concurrent. This means they occur at the same time. And that example is to your right. You'll see that there's an on-page start block. So that's the event. And it's actually linked to 2 functions. The first function is to play a recorded sound, and the second function is to play a text effect. So in this case, you're going to have a text effect play at the same time that the voiceover is playing. So you can teach these concepts of sequencing and concurrent and parallel while you're also focusing on the literacy aspect of creating a story and story sequencing as well. And this lesson plan is available in our curriculum section. So we do have curriculums on elementary. We are adding them as I get them completed, and they have all of the steps as well as the standards for Common Core, CSTA, IST, and all that jazz. So let's take a look at the next one. So some other ideas for storytelling is an About Me book. This is very popular as a way to get started. Then you have hidden picture books. We've actually seen this for very, very young students, like first grade, second grade level, where they would hide the character on the page and basically create a simple sentence like, Leo lives in an enchanted forest. He loves to take walks. Where is Leo? For a little bit older students, we have fractured fairy tales. And then the final one is sound stories, which is a great example of integrating the arts into literacy and coding as well. So we have an example story by Gifted Hawk, which is from her students. I believe they're in 5th grade. I may be wrong. And you have everything from the animations to the voiceover to background music. And it's just absolutely amazing what they've done. So far we can animate, we can play music, we can play sound effects, and we can play voiceovers. Now, can you think of any other ways we can make digital storytelling more fun and exciting? You can use the chat box. I would think about maybe what do games do to become so fun and engaging for students, and what can we learn from games and bring them into our own stories?
So do you think
choose your
we
own
could
adventure.
add any type of leadership board?
Great.
Or could there be any way to
Kids love
add
to
or
collaborate.
collect coins?
Okay, lots of people have the choose your own
that
adventure
they could earn points
idea.
in any of that. Would that work at all, Nicole?
Anything else that we can think about? Yeah, definitely. That can be definitely something that you can do in your story. When different kids tell different parts of the story, that type of collaboration. Okay, so that's great. And I want to just jump right in because I still have a lot of slides, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective. So yes, the Choose Your Own Adventure is amazing and super fun. It's an example of a non-linear story. So normal stories start from page 1, they start on page 2, and then they go to page 3, and every time you read it, it's exactly the same. However, one of the key elements that makes games so fun is that the playing experience feels personal. And how game designers do this is by making narrative non-linear. So non-linear stories can have branching paths, they can have different dialogues depending on the choices. Those are all some examples. And so, sounds great. How do I get started? Like most things, you might want to take some baby steps. One simple way to get students started designing non-linear stories is actually to create a quiz. So let's play the video to see the result, and you can find the full lesson plan linked as well. So this is a simple, which animal makes the best pet? And depending on your choice, you'll be navigated to a different page. Perfect. So we've covered events, we've covered functions and sequences a bit. Elementary also includes the concept such as variables and variable templates to develop even more complex storytelling experiences. So you might be asking, what are variable templates? If you've sent out any email campaigns, you might recognize them as the placeholder. So you would write a template email and it will say, hello, name, I wish that you would attend my meeting, things like that. You can determine what a variable template is by the two curly brackets or mustaches. And yes, that's a professional term. So unfortunately, we can't see the image here with the two curly brackets. But variable templates are used in literally every modern web page. And you can see that they allow us to easily change the data. So if we can play the image, play the video, we can take a look. And I'm just going to, in the chat box, show you what a variable template looks like. So normally you would, in your story, you would just say hello name, and everywhere that the curly brackets appear, you would replace it by the variable that was typed inside the input field. So this is very reminiscent of role-playing games. Whenever you open up a role-playing game, the first question is, are you a boy, are you a girl, and what is your name? And then as the player, you enter in your name, which is used throughout the game. And so you can do the same thing now when you create your story on Elementari. So how we actually code it is to the right. This example that I'm showing you here is actually an integrated tutorial on Elementari, so you can actually go through step by step within the authoring tool, and it'll guide you through what blocks to add and what to connect. But to give you a very brief overview, you have a variable that's a text variable. Then you would have to initiate that and create it and name it. So in this case, I created a variable named name. And then my event is on text input. So when I enter the enter button or exit the input field, then it wants to trigger my variable to equal the text object. So like I said, there is a video as well, so you can take a look at that, and I go through everything there. And once again, for variables, we have different variable types. This case is a text variable, but we do also have a Boolean variable and a number variable. And those are just adding more complexity to your stories. It's not required at all, but it's just something nice if you want to go into more advanced coding concepts. So one question I often get from teachers is, I teach middle school or I teach high school. Will my students like this? It seems a bit kiddish. And while Elementari is an authoring tool, just like PowerPoint or Google Slides, and therefore it can be used for all age groups, I want to highlight a certain genre of video games that targets the tween-teen age groups, and this is called visual novels. Visual novels originally came from Japan, and they're text-based narratives featuring anime-style characters and branching endings. There's many visual novels that deal with the high school drama of relationship and heartbreaks, as well as the more adventure-style ones. And on a similar note, we've seen many middle school graphic novel clubs use Elementari to create their own graphic novels. Now, a great way to use conditionals is to have your students design an escape room. So we have an input field. You can type things into the input field. Now you can do an if-then statement to see whether or not the value of your input field is equal to a value like your secret code. And then you can do certain things based upon if it's true or if it's false. So for example, you have if the passcode entered is equal to happy, then go to page 6. Otherwise, go to page 3. And you can lock the navigation so that the reader has to input the field in order to navigate to the next level or the next page. And this is just a fun way where students can demonstrate their understanding. You can, since it's digital, easily share it so other classes can play each other's escape rooms, or even share it to a more broader global audience. So this is more of a focus for older students, grades 9 through 12. You can do a simpler one for probably middle school, It all depends, once again, on how much time you have and how much coding experience your students have. So also for grades 9 to 12, this is more of an ELA focus, so English language acquisition, like literature analysis. You can create a character profile. So oftentimes when you're teaching literature, you want to do a character analysis. Now you can do so by creating like a social media page where when you click on the quote, it will lead to the analysis. So let's take a look at what this looks like in action. And you can also create similar app-like pages for research projects. For example, you can do it for those, what is it called? Science fair projects where you have to put the hypothesis or you have to put the methodology, the conclusion, things like that. Those are all ways that you can integrate this sort of idea and apply it into a different context or a different setting. So I have this actually as a published, so you can take this template and you can remix it. Remixes, once again, copies the entire story for the student to edit. And when they publish it, it automatically notifies and gives credit to the original source. So that's also pretty cool and something that is built in. Okay. And another one for older students is the children's book project. So this is actually something that some high school teachers are doing right now, and they're challenging their students to write and voice act an interactive children's book around a theme or a topic. Then they'll find a partner K-2 class, so generally in their same school district, to give feedback on the older kids' stories. And so this is a great way to engage the writers for giving them an authentic audience and also for the young readers to have a really great opportunity to discuss and give feedback to help these writers improve. Okay, so K-1, this is actually something that teachers have done that I never would have thought of. And that is teachers are using the illustrations to provide talking points for their young learners to tell their story. So what would happen is they would design a page together, say, oh, what character do you want on this page? Oh, I want a dragon. What's the dragon's name? So after they decide what to put on the page, the teacher will actually record the student narrating and the student providing the dialogue. And then the teacher would then code the recordings to play. And it just becomes a really fun, interactive story time that really makes the kids active in the storytelling process, not just listening to the story, but they're the ones actually telling the story. So that was a lot of examples, and I just want you to reflect back about everything that I've covered and just think, is there maybe one idea or one activity you'd like to try? And I hope you're still with me.
Yep, the ideas are coming in. We'll give them just a moment to reflect, Nicole, so we can get some feedback, making sure that their needs are being met.
And please do tell me, because then I could prioritize those ideas as ones that I create lesson plans for. Yeah, no problem. Well, I'm basically almost done with my slides, so I had to go through them quite quickly so we can have some extra time here that they can.
Yeah, I agree, Diane. She just put in story building in the escape room. You know, how unique, what a wonderful learning opportunity
want to implement with their classes.
Having the kids even create that overall stuff and how to work together. I mean, really a collaborative way of understanding, finding new knowledge, but then at the same time, making it extremely creative. This is wonderful. And also, I know Rita had mentioned, and I know this is a great parent tool. So Nicole, do you want to share a little bit about how parents could use this even with the younger kiddos as well?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So we've actually seen a lot of signups from kindergarten teachers, which is something that I never would have really expected because kindergartners can't really read yet, so and they can't write. But what's actually happening is they're using elementary as a platform for kids to really use the illustrations to inspire their, creative juices to push out a story out. So the kids will tell their story, maybe the teacher or the parent can help write it, or they'll help them with recording it and playing it back through the coding. We have an integrated tutorial on how to play a voiceover, so that is pretty easy for parents to pick up on. They just have to click start tutorial and it will guide them through all the steps. So it's not something that they really have to know how to code. Most of the people who have used Elementary have absolutely zero coding experience. They don't even know what Scratch is.
We're also seeing a lot of schools,
So
what I'm
it's
working
not
with
something
currently in
that
the U.S.,
really
that
needs
a
to
lot of our
have
high
like
schools
you need to be a computer scientist in
students
order to pick up
that
on. At least that's
are
not
really modeling
what
computer science
we
literacy
made this
within
platform
their
for.
daily studies or going to continue on with that learning path, that they are setting up coding clubs and helping elementary and middle school students or at the younger grades, that they're partnering. I could see this tool really being a great collaborative partnership where the older students are coaching and mentoring younger students. Could be part of an after-school club or could be part of a summer program. Now, I'm also getting some other feedback from others in the group, and I know Doug has offered a question as well, wanting to know, he's wondering how much the stories are constrained by images that are available that would possibly limit or could expand maybe the storyline.
We do have about 13,000 illustrations and sounds. I believe it's like 8,000 illustrations at this point. And for if you're looking at the anime style characters, each character has about 8 or so different facial expressions. So in terms of constraining the story, generally kids are fine with coming up with stories with the number of illustrations. In some cases, it's actually detrimental because they're scrolling through all the images rather than writing. So that's one other point. For the young non-readers, one thing that might be really great for them, or even for young writers who might not be, good enough to, they might not be proficient enough to write a full sentence, is to use the remix feature, like I mentioned before, where you have most of the sentence or most of the story completed, and the students just have to fill in some of the blanks.
Another question coming in from Tim Dixon about the relationship with math literacy component and science literacy.
They just have to practice with reading the sentence, maybe. Those are ways that you can introduce
or how is the
storytelling process without telling them, oh, you have a blank page, go for it. So I have not yet really thought about math applications. If you do think of any, then that would be really great. The only thing that would maybe come up is when you're looking at like x and y axis for coordinates, because we do have a move to absolute function where it moves to a position, a coordinate position. So that might be something that you can play around with. Otherwise, yeah, bring in the ideas for me because I'm kind of empty right now. So that's why I need all you teacher friends to help me out to create curriculum. For science, we've seen it actually used at middle school level to create science stories.
And so just
one
like Nicole
example
said,
is
teacher
a
friends,
chemistry
please
teacher
add in the
Spain
back channel chat if
actually
you're really
had
looking for
his
something
students
specific, and if you
research
really
a
want to
chemical element
complement
of the
and
periodic
create computer
table
science
and
literacy
then create a
stories,
story
but
about that
also
chemical
that you have
element with a quiz at the
a
end.
focus on a
So those are
particular
all
subject
some
area,
examples for
we'd like to
science.
know your ideas because we're always trying to find an amazing way to mix a thematic unit approach or a multidisciplinary approach. That computer science isn't thought as a separate thing to teach. It really should be complementing and infused in everything that we do. So those ideas are brilliant, and we need your knowledge to share that. So it would be great. Okay, wonderful, so much. Well, as we continue on, we wanted to share a few more ideas with all of you. And here's a few more steps, Nicole, that give an overview, anything else about how elementary is being used K through 12, but basically in almost every subject area.
Yeah, we've actually also seen a lot of special education teachers requests for accounts during this time period, which I thought was quite interesting because when I created Elementary and developed it, I really focused on the English language acquisition portion of it and not really too much about anything else, along with the coding because my background, once again, is in STEM and I came from a pretty engineering school. So we're running out of time, and I just want to jump into elementary for remote learning. So elementary, normally we have a forever free tier, which is 30 students, one classroom, and this is forever free. So we want everyone to be able to create stories. You as an individual can go on and sign up for an account and start creating. You're only constrained by the number of illustrations that you can use because we are partnered with independent artists and musicians, and we do profit share with these independent artists. So due to our unfortunate health crisis, we are opening up premium plans for free for schools and teachers and also parents who may be affected by the school closures. We have a Google form for that. You just fill it out, and then we upgrade you once I process it. And some of the features that teachers can have that are really great for remote learning are that you can create a classroom, you can create an assignment. This assignment is something that the student will see, and then you can review and give feedback on student stories. So while students are working on their stories, you can look at their progress, you can give feedback on their progress, you can correct their little mistakes like remember to capitalize your I's, things like that. And we also have student statistics such as how long students spend writing and coding, how many characters they've written, and how many lines of code they've written as well. So we have that by story and also as a global classroom kind of graphs. And in the future, we're also looking to see
Yep,
a day-by-day
absolutely. And Nicole, there's
analysis
one last
of
question that
student
came in for
engagement
Stephanie, who's coming in
with
from our public
their
libraries.
work. So the
And
form
how can
will
they
be
sign
linked
up to be
in a
part of this
separate
as well? Because they're not
document, but it's also
affiliated with the
here.
school, they're a public
And
library
yeah, I
where
think
children
Naomi
come,
has a ton
you
of
know, to
other
enjoy the love
resources
of
that she's going to
literacy, but
blitz
also
through.
are participating in other events at the library. Okay, that's great, Stephanie. I agree too, right? Free is good, and with quality it's even better. Well, I want to make sure
Yeah,
that
so
you have
actually
more
for
digital
libraries, we
tools and
just kind of
resources
consider them
to
as
add to
schools in
your
our case.
collection
So you
to
can just
really
sign up for a
enhance the
school account.
opportunity,
And right now it's
whether
just
you
free,
are
so you can just
supporting
sign up, say
students
you're
in
a
a remote
library, and we
learning
give you a school
situation
access.
with online rotation stations, or helping parents even to help your particular students or even your own children in the home environment with giving them choice of connecting the literacy component with computer science. What we have for you is that I have a collection of tools, and this complements what Nicole shared with you tonight, but I have a complete slide deck with all kinds of wonderful activities of how Fairytale adventures and Unplugged activities really support literacy and helping children make the bigger learning connection with reading and writing fluency as well, too. Now, I did an overview when I worked with Wonder Workshop for Dash and Dot, and fairy tales in general, and I love fractured fairy tales. It puts such a wonderful spin on the storyline, and the kids absolutely love it. So if you can get your hands on some amazing fractured fairy tales, and I personally as an educator, I love it as an anticipatory set where I will still read that story to them aloud with lots of information in my voice, and I'm just being very vibrant when I present with them, but helping them make the learning connections of seeing and hearing that story and understanding the characters, the plot, and the setting, and how that relates to the concept of how does it relate to computer science with understanding what a sequence is, what a loop is, what an event is, and then a condition from an if-then statement. I do lots of different types of teaching and learning with our kiddos every grade level, but I love when we offer unplugged activities, or meaning I'm not using any technology. I'm having immersed learning experiences where children can work with hands-on activities and apply their new knowledge with persevering and problem solving and critical thinking and working with a teammate to solve for a bigger problem. So I have some templates in here of how you can represent a computational thinking idea to connect those if-then statements as almost like a game board activity. Some other things, if you haven't tried, some of you may have more coding and robotic tools in your home environment currently, or maybe you can still have an opportunity to check them out from your local library and or your school districts. But what a better way to design costumes, to bring that character to life. And this particular one goes along with Wonder Workshop. One of my favorite activities is when you can allow and have your kids create that code, but then also to create character dressings and having your complete outfit complement the book that you read. The kids really get into that digital story, and then they can record it with your mobile device or capture it as well to have kids retell that story. But when they can have an authentic costume, that's when that story comes to life. Some other pieces of information that I truly am very passionate about. I love the Wonder Workshop challenge cards. Many of our coding companies are now coming out with challenge cards. But what I like about this is that they are mini stories, and then it applies the computer science of computational thinking, the kids actually read, then apply the robotic knowledge that they actually will replicate what is the step-by-step interactions and the directions on the card, and then there's a self-check for that understanding. So if you haven't tapped into these are absolutely brilliant, and they're so wonderfully leveled, and they include different types of subject areas that it's extremely meaningful as a multidisciplinary approach to learning. Now, another area, and I don't have a puppy buddy, so it's not me in the background. Wonder Workshop also has a Q robot, and if you haven't tapped into the Q robot, I personally love to use this, and I've worked with teachers at the middle school and high school levels. I really enjoy this because beyond block-based coding, I can do a simulated JavaScript programming working with the actual application that interfaces with the robotic of Q. And then they also have this amazing curriculum for Dash and Dot, and it's aligned to code.org, our ISTE standards, our computer science standards, but it's all about storytelling. And what's wonderful is that they have the books that go along with this that actually have the design thinking process to help kids solve for a problem, create a new solution, and it's all done through a story. It's just done so brilliantly. So again, very passionate about this because it hits the nail on the head with that when I talked about it earlier about being the perfect peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's about the computer science, and it's about the literacy to tell that story. A few things that I'd like to share with you. If you haven't seen Makey, this is another one of those things that I would say this needs to be added to your computer science toolbox. Makeys are a wonderful little computer chipboard that actually have a motherboard built into it, and it works with circuitry, and it can interact with the online platform of Scratch. So I have an example here that I created, a paper talking doll. So I created a paper doll, basically, and that is my good friend John Caripko from the Q organization in California. And what we did is we created him as a paper towel, and then I inserted, they're called brads, which are brass fasteners that I inserted into his little outfit. And then when I connected my Makey, it had touch points that I used Scratch to record my voice as a trigger point to tell the story of how we marketed to the Q conference and talking about all about computer science and learning at the conference. Makey also has an online portal with Instructables, and there's amazing teacher projects. We're talking K through 12 of how you can use Makey, circuitry, and coding computer science. Also works with Legos and works with many different types of programs, even such as microbits as well too. All these examples you're going to get in a minute, so hang on. We've got lots of goodies for you. We also have another example here of what Makey is, and this is a student project in which that you can see that the Makey kit is connected, in which that you work with conductors and what is a conductive element and what is not. And then when you have it all completely hooked up together, it will tell the story, and it's triggered with those points of those fasteners again. Using Scratch, it will tell your story. We have that project, and it's complemented by that dolly as well. Again, another great free tool is called Google CS First. They have a brilliant storytelling thematic unit. You can request from Google CS First a whole kit, and they will send it to you, and you will also get a digitized version of it, and this is things that parents can use in the home environment for remote learning. You can use these in your classrooms when the kids come back. You can use those for summer events or after-school coding clubs, but it's all based on thematic units, from storytelling to game design to fashion to music, everything that kids love. So why not give them an opportunity to tap into understanding and taking their conceptual knowledge to a great program as part of that. Scratch Junior, for our younger kiddos, if you haven't seen these, I love the Scratch Junior cards, and there's also teachable challenges online, but it really helps kids with writing and process, even with letters with, and also creating simple digital stories. They also have connections with curriculum and assessment, and then also I the test activity, Test University. They also have all kinds of activities that work with the Scratch Junior for our littles. A few other things that you haven't seen, a great shout out, and this is from Tech with Jen. Your friend online, Scratch Junior activities of actually, again, taking a story, reading a story, breaking it down into a sequence, putting it back into the larger part of the story, and then helping kids actually use coding cards for directionality of understanding directions. So tap into that if you can. And please note that all of these resources we're going to share with you in a minute in the back channel chat. And please feel free to sign up for CS for All Teachers. Our online community is filled with great, incredible, creative minds that want to share best practices. And again, it's all free. So please tap into csforallteachers.org, join us and have some fun, and tap into resources beyond what we can share from here. Thanks, Melissa, for adding in the back channel chat. That's the document of everything that we've shared tonight, and within 48 hours, we will all have this recording, share with your friends and parents to continue the learning goodness beyond that we can give you tonight. So once again, you can follow us on Twitter at CS for All Teachers. Please feel free to continue on with the learning, because we don't want the learning to stop, especially when we're home by now, right? But share the goodness. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to add it to our back channel chat. If you have any closing, please feel free to add at this time. Nicole.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say a very big thank you to Naomi and Nicole for taking care of this, particularly Nicole. It is very, very, very late where you are, so I absolutely appreciate your willingness to join in with us this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are. I did put a survey request along with the resource guide and into the chat box because we would love for you to get your feedback from here. Normally I close this out pretty quickly so that we can get to the survey, but it looks like there's a few more questions, so I'll keep the line open for just a few more minutes to kind of get those questions addressed, and then we will shut down for the evening. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time. Glad